All right. Well, we have two new volunteers today. We have Weldon and Erica.
Hello.
This is Boe Bowen. So I'll let him kind of get started about his role in some of the cases and relationship with CASA and kind of what some of our boundaries are whenever parents are appointed an attorney, and go from there.
Well, hello. Thank you all for what you do. You actually have a very important role. Coincidentally, this is Montgomery and Harris, they treat guardian ad litem a little bit different, but not in Waller, especially involving with the Judge Andell and the CPS docket. He actually cares what y'all say. He listens to you, and a lot of times the judges don't give him as much credit, but definitely Andell does. So I can promise you your work and your efforts will be listened to. And please don't get discouraged when you work with an attorney ad litem. Depending on if they represent the kids or if they're representing the parents, their reaction to you will be very different. When I work with the kids, well, for me in general, I work with CASA either way. But let's say I represent the parents, and of course you're out there for the kids. You're going to have a differences usually of opinion, especially because, let's face it, the parents are involved with the system because they did something wrong, in my opinion, to begin with, right? There's not a whole lot of ownership with these people in regards to saying, I did something wrong, I need to do it. They blame the system, they blame CPS, they blame their family, they blame everyone but themselves. And as the attorney representing the parents, we have to push their agenda. No matter how crazy, asinine, and how much we don't like it, we still have to do what's in our clients' best interest and what they want us to do, even though it may not be in the best interest of the child. On the flip side of that, if we represent the children as an attorney ad litem, the standard is best interest of the minor. Depending on who it is and which rules they're applying, most of them will say 12 years or older. They're allowed to form their own opinion as the minor, and we're supposed to push that agenda. Say, for example, the child is with a pedophile, but she loves her pedophile dad. It's not a good place for her to be, especially if there's been a history of abuse. But that child wants to be returned to her parents. The child's 12 years or older, knows the process, understands what's going on. As the attorney ad litem, we have to push that agenda, even though we don't want to. That's where you come in. This is why your role is so important. You're not pushing the kid's agenda. You're always stepping back, being objective, looking at the big picture, and you're telling the court what you think, based on your research and time with the kids, what is best for that child. You are literally there arguing sometimes against the attorney. I don't take it personally. I'm glad you have that role because I've relied on y'all several times to do that. Because I hear them going to send a kid home, look at you coming right back, so please tell them no. I need you to bring up the fact that dad has a criminal history of 33 pages. I can't sell my client under like that. But I'm going to provide you with that background check. Other attorneys won't do that. So it doesn't really matter where it is. It also depends on the attorney. If there's a conflict, it can be a little bit more distant. But normally when you're in line, I'd encourage you to go visit the children with the attorney. Get to know them as well. Have them work with you prior to the hearing, especially when your interests align. And a lot of times with me, with the kids, they do. I get a lot of kids under the age of 12. But just so you know, that's not a rule per se. That's recommended by the American Bar. The standard set by the Texas Children's Commission is saying that once the child is actually able to understand the process and able to speak for themselves, they're supposed to push that agenda. I go back and forth depending on the clients. So it is, for me, more of a case-by-case specifics. Don't be scared to reach out to the attorneys. Don't be scared to reach out to CPS as well. If they're going out and visiting with the kids, I'd encourage you to go out there with them too. You'll be surprised how often your opinions will differ in regards to how the parents interact with the kids. Again, your job isn't, in my opinion, your job isn't the way you even pick sides. You're truly supposed to be this third party who's removed, objective completely, and you tell the court, this is what I think is best. Not what I want the attorney ad litem for the kids, or not what I want attorney ad litem for the parents. The hell, not what the kid wants. What do you think, based on your experience and all of your training, what's best for that kid? And Judge Andell will listen to you. This is not something you throw together the night before the hearing. I recommend talking in front of the mirror. It does help. And you give your little speech. You don't want to memorize a speech. It'll change every time you deliver it, but make sure you get those key facts and points out that you want the judge to hear. Anyone happen to know the difference between an attorney ad litem and a guardian ad litem? No? Yes?
Well, we talked a little bit about it. So, I mean, we would be the guardian ad litem.
Well, other than being a different name, what would you say is the difference between the two?
Well, our job is to advocate in the best interest of the child, and yours is to advocate for what the child wants.
Can a guardian ad litem be a witness?
Yep. Sure.
That's right. But can an attorney ad litem be a witness?
No.
No. Huge difference there. And there are times, reason I'm bringing CASA is because I'm going to use them as a witness. Because I can't testify to what I just saw. You can. That's also when I'll keep you away from my clients if I'm representing a deadbeat dad. I have to protect them. So I'm not including you on my visits to see them. Now, granted, I have, though, actually. I have brought CASA along with a deadbeat mom and dad. I knew where the case was going anyway, so it didn't hurt me to bring them, and I didn't want CASA going out there alone. I care about what y'all do. And there was issues regarding aggression with this client in particular. Y'all are not to expose yourself to needless harm and risk. And in doubt, take someone with you. It doesn't hurt to have that extra witness. Ideally, especially for representing the kids, I say call the attorney ad litem for the kids and see when they're going out too, especially if you have any concerns regarding safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bo and I recently, we have a runaway teenager right now.
Oh, she's still gone.
Well, we actually found her.
Yes.
But HPD did not act swiftly enough to pick her up. So she's
you didn't know? Oh, so you didn't hear the update. We represent a minor. The child's like 15, 16. And she's a mess. Well, we've been trying to find her. We found an area where she was. We went out and did some flyers that CASA put together. And we got hits. We called the cops. They took their precious time getting out there. And by the time they did, she was gone. Well, it turns out she popped up again. But this time, we were able to get her. She was taken into custody, handed over to CPS. They're then taking her in to get her checked in. And she runs. She ran away from Deborah Lee.
Yeah, I did.
So we had her for a brief period, not long enough for us to talk to her. And she's now back on the lam.
Yeah. But I didn't.
You can't take this kind of stuff personally, though.
Right.
It's the nature of the beast. We didn't do anything wrong. Joe didn't do anything wrong. Some kids don't want to be helped. Some parents don't want to be helped. You just have to do your best, and what happens, happens. And another thing is, when I cross-examine y'all, please don't take it personal. It is the job that we have to do. We have to help our clients. Yes, I will agree. There are times that I've had to do things that did not work out for the kids. That wasn't my job. I have to do my job. But that's where y'all come in. And if you're really working with CPS and you got a good attorney on CPS and you got a good attorney for the ad litem, they'll be calling you before trials and things that nature go over the question. If they don't reach out to you, you reach out to them. Don't be scared to. Worst thing they're going to say is, no, I don't want to work with you. Okay, now you know. But in Waller, the majority of the attorneys there in particular, at least the ones I've associated with, they're going to work with you. Me, Stiers, what's her name? She just had a baby, so she hasn't been around as much. Miss White, Carrie McCurley, Mr. Harlow, every one of them I've pretty much dealt with, aside from maybe two. They're going to work with you. Utilize that resource. If CPS isn't calling you back, they have a hell of a lot more to do than I do. Call me. I'll answer the questions for you best I can.
I did address with them that if we have if the parents have an attorney and we want to know how they're doing on their services, sometimes it's best to go through the attorney and say, hey, how's your client doing with their parenting classes, so that we're not, if we don't have a release of information from the parents, then we need to go through the attorney for that information.
As a general rule, anytime someone's been appointed counsel, you're going through that counsel. The only thing that you would have direct access to, in my opinion, based on the orders, doesn't give you access to those parents, at least not without their attorney, unless the attorney says, go ahead and talk to them, do whatever you need. I would encourage you to get that in an email and writing somehow to cover your butt. A lot of the game that you play is CYA, and I'm not saying be scared to do the job, all right? A lot of times it is better to ask forgiveness than permission. But we don't want your hard work and your great testimony to be excluded because you didn't follow the proper procedures, and then that poor kid does get stuck going back with deadbeat mom or dad. And there's a hell of a lot of deadbeat mom and dads. You're going to have to go out to the homes. Yeah, I recommend checking out the home. I mean, really do your due diligence to get, when you give that report to the court, it has some substance and weight.
Did you just say Did you just say that?
Tracy just walked in.
Hey, Miss Sebesta.
Hey. You guys will love him. He's good. He's one of our good attorneys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I paid them beforehand.
Check is in the mail, right?
That's right. But overall, as a guardian ad litem, you're going to investigate the family situation. You're not just talking to the parents. You're going to talk to the third parties as well, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, people who know these people, to establish that they're telling you the truth. And I can tell you, they're not. You heard one parent, you've heard one lie. You heard from the other parent, you've now heard the other lie. And somewhere in between that, there's some truth, but there's usually a lot more falsehoods. That's the reality of it. Their phone numbers are going to change on a weekly basis, so it feels. Same with their addresses. Some of these parents are transient. We have no damn idea from day to day or week to week where they are.
Right.
So you're going to investigate the family situation. You're going to exercise some level of professional judgment, meaning based on your own life and experiences plus your CASA training. What do you think is the best interest of the minor? That is always our heading. In my opinion, it always should be, even if you represent the parents, but for kids, best interest of the child. That's what you always default to, because that's what the court's going to default to. You're going to formulate an opinion. You're going to have to make that a hard call. It doesn't mean the judge is going to listen to you in that regard. He'll listen to you. It doesn't mean he'll follow your directions. Does that make sense? But I can tell you right now, if you're in line with the attorney ad litem for the kids, you're in line with CPS, and you got that same opinion, I can almost guarantee that's what the judge is going to do. At least with Andale. He listens to CASA, and he definitely sides heavily with CPS in making these judgments, because let's face it, when you look at the big picture, it's better safe than sorry to keep the kids away from the parents a little bit longer than throwing them back into harm. And usually we can do that. You're going to make recommendations to that court based on the court's investigation. You're going to have to make those hard calls. It is not easy asking the court, I think it's best if we terminate this child's relationship with their parents. I mean, can you imagine that? Someone, do y'all have kids? I don't know. But if you do, imagine a third party you barely know comes into the court, tells a judge who's going to make a decision on this, that I think what's best for these kids is that they don't have these people as parents. Can you imagine that? They're going to look at you funny. All right? They'll yell at you. I mean, it's amazing. But you have to do what's best for that kid. You have to step out of that comfort zone and say those hard words. I don't like doing it either. Even if it's well-deserved, it's a hard thing to do. You're going to be involved throughout the entire proceeding. So you're going to see a case almost from start to finish. I don't know if they warned you. You're looking at usually a year and a half to 2 years, depending on the case and how long it gets drug out. We go on the trial or not. Do we reach an agreement? You're going to get to see a mediation. If y'all never done that, I would encourage you definitely to sit down with the attorney, either with the ad litem for the child or the state's attorney, and discuss what a mediation is. What is the process? What is your role? What do you need to do? And as a guardian ad litem, you should be speaking up and saying what you think based on your investigation is what's best for that kid. And it's uncomfortable sometimes because you got mom sitting right there across the table, dad right there, their attorneys, they're coming at you too. Yeah, but sometimes they come across a little more aggressive than they should. That's fine. Remain calm. Breathe in through your nose, exhale through your mouth, take a deep breath, and just answer. Usually they're mad at the situation, and if they're mad at you, who cares? You're doing what's right. And if you truly believe in what you're doing, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
One important thing about a mediation, if everyone else around the table has come to agreement, they're all signing it, you don't agree with it, then you don't have to sign it.
No.
You don't feel pressure to sign something that you're not in agreement with. You have that right.
You can always go against the group. That's fine, especially if you believe in it. That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, you saw things we didn't. You have a different perspective. You're there for a reason. I don't expect CASA to agree with me. I like it when we're all on the same page, but it's not a requirement. And I'm going to tell you, it's hard getting in front, especially when the courtroom's crowded. Everybody's now listening to what you're saying. You got some woman in the corner typing every word that you're doing, and it's going to be difficult to speak. So I strongly recommend if you plan on speaking before the court, rehearse it. Speak in front of the mirror. Don't memorize, but make sure you got your bullet points, a quick little checklist, so you don't miss them. When you're in the heat of that moment, you're going to miss them. I can guarantee it. And then you got me coming at you, and I'm going against what you're saying. You want to be prepared.
And it's important, too, knowing that whenever we're just having our normal, regular hearings, you're not allowed to ask questions of anyone else up there.
That's right.
If there is something specific that you want brought up, if you know that mom just had a new boyfriend move in with her, and you have some concerns about that, and she's not being forthcoming and telling everyone else about that, you might go with a child's attorney and say, hey, can you bring up this new issue? And could you question me about it? Say, hey, Casa, do you know if mom has any new relationship? And then you're able to give your feedback and input on that at that time. Okay. There's also times when maybe you're aligned with one of the parents. Maybe mom's doing everything and CPS is dragging their feet on returning the child. So you might talk with mom's attorney and, align with them and say, hey, I've got some feedback on how well mom is doing. Could you please call me as a witness? And, so knowing which attorney is best suited to get your point across before a hearing, important.
Preferably the person on your side, right?
Right, exactly.
Who agrees with you.
Exactly. So knowing who that is, whether you're aligning with one of the parents that they're doing well and you want to get that point across, whether it's a concern for the child, if it's for the child and the attorney ad litem is having to represent something different because the child wants something different, then maybe you need to have the CPS attorney bring up the issue and not the ad litem of the child.
But that's what the difference between being able to be a witness and not. Like I wouldn't be able to do that. I can always ask questions, sure, but they won't ask questions of me. I'm not a witness. But I mean, really, y'all have a big role, and I have depended on y'all several times to offset the agenda I have to push, and I don't want to. Because they're gonna be like, that's not what's best for her. I know that. I don't want to do that, but I don't have a choice. That's where I do. I rely on y'all to offset my arguments going, well, if you look at this, though, Your Honor, I understand. But don't get mad at the attorney for it. Don't go, I can't believe they're doing this. But that's why. It's because of the difference in the roles. And I like to push to what's best for the kid. And then I'm usually always in line with Costa, but that's because they're so young. And you're going to get kids that are babies. I mean, newborns taken from their parents immediately because of drugs in their system. You're going to watch that kid grow over the next 2 years. Weird. We had several of those.
Yeah, and you might even be going to the birthday parties.
Sure.
And like I said too, sometimes our kids are placed really far away, and so sometimes Bo and I have one that's up around Nacogdoches.
It is Nacogdoches. That's one of them. Another one in Austin, Pegasus.
So we coordinate when we have to go on a visit, and we ride together, try to just knock it out because it's a long trip.
It is.
So work, get to know your attorneys, and just, again, it's a team effort. All what happens to these kids is not on our shoulders alone. They have so many people working on this case. So just being a team and sharing information. Sometimes our parents get mad at their attorneys and will fire them. And then the judge will appoint a new attorney either in the middle of the case or toward the end of the case. It's okay to share with the new attorney your feedback on their parent that they've just been assigned to. I know Bo got assigned to a dad, and he didn't know much about him. He looks like a thug, he walks like a thug, but he's really a pretty decent dad as far as his interaction with the kids and caring for the kids. So just being able to give him my opinion on that,
It helped. It made my approach to him at the first visit differ, because I was going to come at him a lot harder than I was. I mean, he has the teardrop. He's covered in tattoos. You look at his criminal record, you're going, yeah, I better be packing heat to meet this guy. And it turns out, no, not at all. He's a pussycat.
Yeah, so you can't always judge a book by their cover. If I had to pick between one of the two parents on that case, I would pick the dad.
I didn't know. I agree. Of course, I'm biased. I represent him. But but they're absolutely right. Don't judge a book by its cover. Give these people an actual chance, but don't buy into their BS. And they will try to use you against CPS and against the attorneys. Some of these people, they're nothing but scam artists. And they feed one line of bull to one to another, and they'll try to make us fight amongst ourselves. And we can't let that happen. Even if we're adversarial in the process, that doesn't make any sense at all. We should always be able to speak with each other with respect. Sometimes people get a little more excited, but there should be no yelling, no cursing, none of that stuff. I mean, this is not our problem. It's their problem. They get to live with the consequences of their poor decisions. Not you, not me. We just have to do our best to represent them, and you're doing what's, in my opinion, you have the best job of all. You get to wear the white hat every day. You do what's best for the kids. I mean, that's great. White hat, should have said white horse. You really are. You're really the hero no matter what case you're on. You don't have a focal point or a slant. You do what's best for the child, for our next generation. I mean, that's awesome.
What advice would you give if they are working on a case and they have an attorney that is not very responsive or engaged in the case, and they need the attorney to be engaged more?
Is this one represents the children or one that represents the parents?
Children.
All right. Now, if they were representing parents, I would simply say, who cares? The parents are adults. They can speak up for themselves. And again, your focus is the kids. Now, you're going to see it when you want them to go back to mom and dad. These attorneys don't do their job. Same thing with the kids. You can go visit these kids. It'll be 4 months into the freaking case, and they don't even know they had an attorney. I'd encourage you to reach out to that attorney, let them know that their clients would like to meet with them. I reach out. I would start with a phone call. If they don't get a response, then I'd do a phone call and follow up with an email. And then from here on out, I would do every single phone call with an email. If you're at your second hearing and they still haven't met with their attorney, by that third hearing, I'd be getting CASA or CPS to get those kids in to meet with the judge. And I'm going to tell you right now, then they're going to meet with the kids. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Because you will, unfortunately, have that situation from time to time.
I'd also encourage you to team up with CPS at least on one home visit. Cheryl Brown is fantastic. You don't have to work with her schedule, but if you can team up with her and ask them, what are you doing when you're checking the homes? What are you looking for? Write that stuff down because you should be looking for the same things. What are they keeping poison? Bottom shelf, top shelf. What needs to be locked? What corners need to be covered? What don't? What type of outlets have to be covered no matter what? Which ones don't really matter? Things of that nature. Be able to identify those things. It'll be going forward.
Yeah. And I have, whenever I've gone on a home visit, I have told the parents, do you mind if I take some photographs? Because I like to put together a, collage of what the home looks like, especially if we're looking at possibly returning the child to the home. A lot of times
You're going to have to check that home.
A judge wants to see pictures sometimes, especially if there's a difference of opinion on the safety of the home. Sometimes CPS has rules and guidelines where they cannot return the child home. Maybe CASA and the attorney have been there and don't see that same issue as a legitimate concern to keep that child from going home. So in that case, pictures can sometimes be the tipping part.
When she's saying pictures, we don't just mean of the outside of the house. Take pictures of what's in the pantry. Take pictures of what's in the fridge. They got any food in there? What did the pantry look like? That kind of stuff.
Medications.
That's right. Where are they being stored? What type of medications?
Yeah, we've had one case where the parents were not using illegal substances, but we're seeing a lot more prescription abuse with our parents. And that was a case where Boe represented the child, and I didn't have a volunteer in the case, so I was working the case. And we went to the parents' home, and the father, we had a scheduled visit. It wasn't unannounced. The father comes out, and he's obviously under the influence of something. And they got very defensive when we started asking about their prescriptions and their medications, and just show us a copy of your prescriptions. They made a lot of excuses.
Then I wanted to see the prescription pills. They just filled the damn prescription. That means they should have had the majority of the prescription left. They couldn't produce it because they already used them all. Abuse of prescription drugs is just as bad as abusing any other types of drugs, but it's just harder to prove. And that's where it's important to make sure you're working with the attorney ad litem for the kids and we're working with CPS to ensure that they're aware of these things. And you CYA by following it with an email.
Yeah.
And there'll be times you'll call and you'll want something. CPS is going to ignore you. You'll call and you'll need something. The attorney will ignore you. You got to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought I sent this. I recommend, okay, just simply notate it. Pick your battles.
Yeah, in this particular case, the parents had checked off everything on their service plan. They had done all the services. They had, on paper, they looked good. But if you hadn't done the face-to-face visits with them, you wouldn't know that, or if you hadn't gone to some of the parent-child visits when they looked intoxicated or under the influence of some of the parent-child visits, and documenting that, it showed a pattern. It wasn't a one-time mess up. And because of our concerns, we requested at one of the court hearings that the parents be given a hair follicle test, drug test, which will go back, 90 days drug use.
Depends how far they go back, but typically to be 60 to 90 days. And they're going to tell you, well, I passed all these tests. I passed the urine tests. Urine's a waste of time. What we care about is what I don't have, hair follicles. And to be fair, just so y'all know, it's not a hair follicle test. I don't care what they call them in court, but you're going to have to call it that even though it's wrong. Follicles, where they actually pluck the darn hair and you got the root at the bottom, they don't do that. They cut it. It's actually just a hair test. And between hair and nail, that is always the preferred. Urine, complete waste of time. They're so easy to beat. I wouldn't put any reliance on those at all. Let's see. Any questions y'all might have that I can address now? Concerns?
No. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Bo, especially on the short notice. I really do appreciate it.
Anytime. I enjoy this. Again, I appreciate what y'all do and offer. We rely on the volunteers at Costa heavily. And I do apologize for some of the attorneys. I can't change their behaviors, but I look forward to working with y'all, and I can guarantee you I'll cooperate with you. If you need any help or assistance, feel free to call me. My staff also has a wealth of knowledge. If I can't help you, ask one of them. If y'all have a pen and paper, write down the main number. It's 713-574-7777. The main number to my office, again, is 713-574-7777. And if it's a quick, easy thing as well, let them know that. They can forward you to my cell phone, and I fill stuff all the time when I'm out driving around. So please consider us a resource, and again, thank you for what you do.
All right. All right. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you, Joe. Bye, Tracy.
Bye.